Hello guys, how's it going? Screezilla here, I hope you're all well. So, the test server is up and running. And, well, I thought I would give you a little bit of a preview and a bit of a player through. So, I'm currently in the new German armoured car with the fantastic 50mm gun on it. Now, this thing is pretty fun, and it's going to be an absolute beast. As you can see, it's capable of taking out a T-34 with no trouble. T-26 is, of course, no issue. It's pretty fast, off-road. Now, this is without any upgrades, of course. You're getting around about 22 to 25 miles per hour, which is a fair lick of speed. Of course, on even ground and on roads, you are capable of much better speed. The gun is really, really nice to aim, and it's actually very stable while moving. As you can see, there's no stabilizer, but because you're on those wheels, it's not quite as bumpy, and it's a little bit easier to aim. Now, it's not perfect, but it does give you something to play with. As I fluff all my shots. Pretty little vehicle, so let's pop back to the hangar now, and let's talk you through some of the new vehicles that are coming. So there's actually a couple of vehicles I've not seen talked about yet. So of course the light tank, the SZFP wagon 5cm, the Panzerwagens, some awfully long German name, but I don't have in front of me to actually read out, so I'm sorry about that. Now, another interesting thing, of course, is there are Italian vehicles now. Now, interestingly, the German aviation tree hasn't been updated for that. However, as you can see in the background, there is an Italian plane sitting there out in the open. I don't know if that's for every vehicle, every nation. No, it just seems to be the Germans. For some reason, the Germans have been classified as... Well, the Italian branch is still classified in there as Italian, so that's got to be fixed up. This is still a German tech tree, and there's still Italian planes in there. So, interesting new vehicles. America is getting a new bomber. Yay! And it's a pretty fucking cool bomber. The PBY-42 Privateer. It's the naval version of the B-24 Liberator, basically. And this thing is gorgeous. Just look at this monster. It's got an interesting side section for the guns, as you can see. They're almost on those pods like the PBY. This was for spotting purposes. To help the crew spot, of course. But isn't it just beautiful? Surrounded by turrets. You've got the twin top turrets on it as well. It's a pretty damn good looking vehicle. As you can see, it looks very different from the Liberator. Now, one thing I've not played around with yet is whether the Liberator now has the operational bull turret that goes up and down, because it should do. So that would be interesting to see. Now, the main reason I talk about that is because of the Italian planes. Yes, we will get to them very, very shortly. So, other vehicles that have come in. Of course, Russia are getting a new tank. Getting the T-55A, which, again, is a pretty looking tank. Still in use today, still in active service. Pretty damn good armour on it. This thing is going to be pretty beastly out on the open. And it's also got a nice big gun on it. Very nice looking tank. The Americans, back to them, because I forgot to mention that one, are of course getting the Starship. The M60A1 ASO, blah, 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 blah. So there we go. Again, interesting vehicle. Actually, that doesn't look quite right. That's not it, is it? I don't know if I've actually modelled it in game yet. Anyway, so yeah, they will be getting that. Because I'm not sure if that's actually it or not. It just doesn't look quite right. Sorry about that. So the Germans, of course. They have got a new premium plane, the Bf-109 Flugel. 1.3 premium Bf-109. So that's to replace the Italian premium that they will be losing. So the interesting thing with the German armoured car is its BR of 2.7. So it is a rank 1 tank, 2.7. So this thing is going to be an absolute beast in low tier matches. On to Britain. I've got a couple of new tanks. Got the Churchill Mark 1, which pretty interesting to be adding, really. Pretty useless vehicle, all in all. You've got the 40mm. Basically, you've got the Matilda turret on this with the 40mm. And then you have a fuck-off big howitzer in the front, which is the 76mm 3-inch howitzer. And it's pretty bloody useless. The howitzer has 8mm of penetration. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. The 40mm gun on it as well, the same as the Matilda's, is very fast firing, but it's pretty useless all in all. Next up, more interesting for me actually, is the Vickers Mark 1, the Vickers MBT, which, beautiful tank. Let's take it out for a quick test drive, because I also want to show you something. So, the Vickers Mark 1 MBT is actually still in use today. It's still in use, it's still an active service. Pretty good tank. It is a medium tank in the heavy line though, which is quite strange. Good speed, and it's got a really nice gun handling on it. The gun is just beautiful, as you'd expect, but very poor when you actually do penetrate. You know, you still don't have that nice explosion. However, new for this patch, we have smoke. Oh yes, we have smoke. Now, interestingly, smoke, it seems to be only for top tier tanks. You don't get it on anything lower. So that is different, and they are classified as rockets on the actual top bit there. But it is good to have it, because that means it's going to make, well, it's going to make it harder for people to snipe. You're going to be able to move from cover to cover with ease, but you have to remember you have limited smoke. You've only got 16 smoke rounds, I think it is. Very limited. The stabilizer on this gun is really good. You've got some very nice penetration values, of course, as you'd expect. Sort of generally you're going to be looking around about 296, almost 300mm of penetration, and of course you do have HESH as well. Now, the smoke does have a penetration value to it, so I do wonder if you will be able to penetrate open top vehicles and take out crew with them, which will be amusing. However, it's not just smoke grenades that are in game. There is a new round for the game. Now, Germany has a few of these. Now, I must mention quickly, actually, not all vehicles are getting smoke. For instance, the T-55, if we look at that, does not get any smoke rounds. It's got some ridiculous penetration values as well, as you'd expect. But it does not get any smoke rounds. So that's going to be interesting to see how the Russian players react to that, because pretty much the whole medium tank line has not got smoke. The heavy tank line do not get smoke. Oh, sorry, yeah, some of them do get smoke, but I think the IS-3... No, it doesn't have smoke. I must be thinking of something else. No, they do get smoke, thankfully. So the heavy tanks do get smoke. Light tank does not get smoke. Which will be quite irritating for light tank players because it really does mess up your ability to sneak around. Smoke could be quite handy. With this vehicle, of course, there are no smoke launchers on it, but it was equipped with them. There were versions and variants equipped with them. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Because, well, I can see a lot of people complaining about the balance of it. Because, well, we don't get smoke launchers, rah, rah, rah. Now, and another interesting thing I did notice was Germany, with the Gepard, the Flakpanzer 1 Gepard, does get smoke shells. So there are going to be AGs with smoke rounds to them. However, the Japanese variant does not get them. The Type 87 does not have the smoke launchers on it, of course. Well, it does, but it doesn't get the smoke on it. So it's... I don't know if it's just something they're playing around with and they haven't added it yet, or if it's just an oversight and it will come to it, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And I will be interested to see if lower tier vehicles get smoke as well eventually, because, well, a lot of lower tier vehicles, like things like the Matilda, for instance, the Matilda was designed with smoke in mind. As you can see, it's got the smoke launchers, well, it's got the twin grenade launchers there, but they did have smoke equipped for these, and they would launch the smoke as they were slowly trundling forwards on the battlefield to help obscure the view so they could get the troops through. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off of what we're talking about here. We're going to switch to the STB1 and take it out on a test drive here, and as you probably saw quickly as I did that, there is actually a smoke round capable of being launched from your main gun. So you've got the option of smoke grenades or smoke rounds. So the smoke round takes time to load, of course, because you've got to load it into your gun. It has penetration value again, 2mm, so you might be able to damage some vehicles with it. It will be pretty funny to take out a vehicle with smoke. But the good thing about a smoke round is it means that it has more range. So you can fire it down range, of course, and help your troops. Now, we'll fire it a little bit closer this time, towards our Sherman. And as you can see, that smoked up that area pretty well. Now, I think smoke's going to need some tweaking, because at distances, it does work pretty well. As you can see, past the Sherman, the... I can't remember what tank it is over there. But the American tank, medium tank there, you can't see at all once the smoke's set in. So it is really good and effective in that regard. The smoke round does have a bigger area to it. Now let's fire at this M2A4. Now, we've hit him, and you can't see him at all now. So that's where it really comes in. You look at the obstruction of the battlefield. Now, if you fire a few of these rounds off, you could really, really help your team get across the battlefield without being hit. Because they do have a fair amount of time lasting in the area. You sort of look at this sort of smoke round, it lasts for around about 30 seconds, which is a fair enough time to get across and move. Another thing you can do, of course, is if there's a couple of views, you could fire them as misdirection. So it will make it very interesting. Now, I have actually managed to damage tracks with this. So, smoke does have a damaging effect to it, which is kind of cool. Now, when you get close, it really doesn't work very well. But as you see here, as we move out a little bit, the smoke really starts to get dense, and bam, it's gone. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it works anyway. Now, let's return to the hangar and have a look at the thing that you're all waiting for. The thing that everybody wants to see. I am, of course, talking about the Italian planes. So, the Italian tech tree. It's not fully revealed. I think there's going to be a couple more added as it goes on. This is going to be the base, though. So, we have the F-84G in jets. Let's start from the top. So, beautiful plane. The F-84G. So that's going to be interesting to see. So, it is a slightly different variant to the American one as well, of course, because they have the B-spec variant. So it has a few minor differences to it. Not many, but some minor ones to it. So that's nice to see that there is some interesting some interesting parts coming on in that respect. As you see, it's done up in its lovely Italian Air Force colours. Has the 650 cows on it, and it's going to be a reasonably good little jet fighter. We have the Fiat G91. Look at this thing. Doesn't it look beautiful? Now, interestingly, the Germans had the variant of this with 20mm guns on it, or were they 36mm? They had cannons on them, basically, instead of machine guns. So I do wonder if they will add this in for the German tech tree. I don't think they've done it yet. I will just double check, because I have been known to miss a few things in my life. No, we haven't got it just yet. We've only got the 15 and, of course, the Sabre. But I can see that being... I can see the G91 being added in. So we have the pre-series, which has the 4 Brownings. The late series with the 4 Brownings. A bit of speed difference between them. Decent speed though, 646 miles per hour, which 646 makes it just a tiny bit slower than the Hunter, but it has got a fair lick of speed to it. Unfortunately, I can't take them out for test drives, which is a damn shame. Modifications, you'll be getting rockets and guns. Now, the rockets are going to be very interesting because you get 38 of them. These are pretty decent rockets as well. These things are going to be pretty damn effective. So, this thing was a brilliant ground striker, and it will have the rocket pods on them, I'm pretty sure, when we see it. It also carries two 500-pound bombs on it as well. I don't think there's any difference between the armaments on the early and late series, but we will just double check. Nope, all the same. So that's your jet fighters. Rank 5, we get the Bf-109 G14AS. So if you're a German pilot, you sort of know about these planes already. You do get a new skin for it though, with the Regina Aeronautica colours to it. And I'm so sorry about my stammering today. I am very, very stammery today, so I do apologise about that profusely. So you've got the gun pod option on here as well. So we've got the cannon, gun pods. Pretty beastly little plane this one will be. And of course, the late series... This sort of area here are all your sort of German/Italian variants. So the G56, for instance, comes in German colours, because I don't think it ever flew under Italian colours, which it just makes it very interesting. Some of the choices. So we get the G56. Not much armor on it, but it has got that fantastic engine in it. Now this thing is very quick and going to be very maneuverable. It has 3 cannons on board, and it comes with the option of putting a couple of bombs on board, which will never be used. Well, barely be used. The rounds are interesting. You've actually got incendiaries for your air rounds. Pretty much for German munitions, though. So if you fly German planes, these are going to be feeling very similar. The G56, though, is very manoeuvrable, so that could be interesting. I'm looking forward to actually seeing it in action. We have the G55, and this is the Series 1, so this is the sort of first variant, one without the torpedoes, and it also has the single radiator here. The Series 2 came with twin radiators on the side here, so it could fit the torpedo underneath it. Again, very good plane, very manoeuvrable. You've got 3 cannons on board, 320 mils, and you've also got 2 50 cal, well, 12.7mm Beretta ASF-AT machine guns on board, which have got fantastic penetration values to them. I think this plane's going to be a very, very beastly plane to come up against. You also have bomb options again, just 50 and 100 pound bombs, nothing too interesting. But again, it's a very, very pretty plane. The Premium, which is the G55S, which is the torpedo variant, which never flew, unfortunately. There was only one made, I think, of it. So you got the 320mm cannons, but you also have the torpedo option. And as you can see, you have the radiators either side, so the torpedo can fit there. This also does come with bomb options, but the main thing is going to be the torpedo, which is your standard Italian torpedo. It's, yeah, I'm going to be doing a video on bombing and torpedoing soon and explaining the mass, but basically you'll be able to take out up to about a heavy cruiser with this. I think a heavy cruiser, you might struggle actually, you might only be able to take out light cruisers with this, but you will be able to take out light cruisers with the torpedo. Very fast, very sleek plane though. Bombers, we have the P108B series, beautiful plane. Just look at it, it's gorgeous. Now this one is the night fighter variant, so it lacks front guns, but it does have these very, very cool turrets at the back. Now what would happen is the gunners would stand, let's just go to the X-ray, they would stand in here, and they would use little controllers to work out where the guns are going to go, and then fire backwards from there. They've actually got a very good radius of fire. You can fire pretty much about no, I can't even work it out in degrees, but about that direction. So you've actually got a good arc of fire with these. 50 cals, so decent decent damage output to them. The side guns are your 7.7mm machine guns, and you also have the belly gunner here. We'll show you that in a minute. So, very, very pretty plane. It is just a gorgeous plane. Payload is pretty disappointing though. 7 500-pound bombs. So, sorry, 500 kilogram bombs. So, you'll be able to take out a couple of bases with this. I'll have to work it out properly soon, but you won't be able to take out too much with this. This isn't going to be as devastating as B-17, for instance, but it's gonna be up there. It's a decent bomber. The main thing though for these planes are the torpedo aspects, because you get 3 torpedoes with them. You can of course carry 2 torpedoes, but well, you know, why are you going to do that? It makes no sense to me, other than slight speed. But yeah, you get 3 torpedoes. Now with this, you will be able to take out carriers. You'll be able to take out 1 carrier and 1 cruiser. So that's pretty cool. Now I've not actually seen it with the torpedoes on board, but basically these sections here are where the torpedoes sit. I think they replaced the bomb bay doors with actual torpedo racks. Series 1, in the fantastic Italian camouflage. Beautiful plane again. This one does have the front guns to it though. Front turret is not great, but it is going to help you a little bit. It's got a slight side turning, single 50 cal on it, but it does not have very good depression. So depression value will get to about here. So you will have issues shooting people coming up to the front of you. Basically head on this plane. Or don't head on it. You shouldn't head on this plane because it's not the plane to head on with. Do not head on this plane. You do not want to have a head on with it. Yeah, try not to give away our secrets there. Very similar though to the later series. The only difference really is the gun. Just quickly though, the Series 2 does have armor to it though. That's something I did forget to mention. It is quite heavily armored, so the pilots get a good armor covering. Gunners as well have very decent armor. You see this armor hanging down here, which looks really weird. Wonder why that is. So the Series 1 again has a fair bit of armor, but not as much armor on the front. So basically, the later variant will be better for attacking boats and the like, because you will be able to actually get down and not die too quickly from them. So this is going to be really interesting to see. I'm looking forward to playing with this plane. Now onto the Attacker. Get a P108. Yeah, not much to say about this one. Pretty boring plane. Has the spherical nose here. Has the same sort of rear guns, you know. Nothing much interesting about this. Let's just give it a quick test flight though, as we're talking. So this one, yeah, I don't really know why they added it. It doesn't seem like a good plane. Just quickly though, the internals look really good. They've done a fantastic job on it. Very, very pretty. So I am looking forward to flying this plane out properly. Let's take her off. So as you see here, it's got the staggered engines, 4 engine setup. Just switch to the gunners so you can see the wing guns there. You can see them firing. As you can see, very, very cool. So let's get her up in the air. Seems to be an issue with sort of like a damage tapping or something. I don't know really what it is. Raise our flaps and let's put our gear up. Oh look at this. Put our gear down. I only do it on airfields, unfortunately. Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping it would go up again. But yes, your belly gunner. So your turret gunner actually has a goes up and down basically to help the plane land. Awesome. It looks fantastic. So of course you've got your belly gunner there. So you've got some decent belly gun action there. It's only got a single 50 cal, but it's better than nothing. Look at this plane. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, one of the things that is a little bit frustrating is this plane does not come with torpedoes. The actual plane that this is based on, the actual variant, did carry up to 3 torpedoes on it. So, unfortunately, we don't have that in-game, which is very, very sad. However, the thing that makes this plane interesting to me and most people is the front of it. What's this at the front? Must be like a little air intake or something. Let's just press the fire button. Oh, it's a big gun. Yes, that's right. This has a 102mm cannon on the front. Yes, this plane has a tank gun on the front. It's pretty rapid fire. Really decent velocity. And yeah, this is going to be very interesting for ground pounding. There we go. That's the end of that truck. I've not played too much with it, but it is very, very cool. Now, unfortunately, it is set in its spot, so it does not move, which is a real shame because the actual gun that was working on did have movement values to it, so it could be aimed by a gunner in the front. So War Thunder are playing a little bit loose and freely with the historical accuracy of things, but I don't mind. I have a 102mm cannon on the front of a bomber. This thing is silly. Now, as you'll see, there's no ammo counter on this, unfortunately. Not sure exactly how many rounds I've got on board. If it's historically accurate, it will be 50, between 50 to 90 rounds on board. Now, this plane is not very manoeuvrable, of course. But the thing this was designed for was for taking out ships. There we go. Not great flying there. Let's return to the hangar quickly, and we'll carry on. But yeah, this plane was designed as an anti-shipping plane. The gun was designed to be fired on ships, of course. With that huge cannon, it would penetrate ships. Let's have a look at the penetration value of the 102mm cannon. So how many rounds have we actually got on board? 50 rounds. So yeah, 50 rounds of this thing. It's not the fastest firing gun in the world, but it fires fast enough. So the armor-piercing tracer and high explosive incendiary tracer shell, 140, well, about 126mm of penetration. The ground-to-target shell is just the incendiary round, which only has 10mm, but it has a whopping 660 gram explosive mass to it, which, yeah, that thing's going to be fun. The turrets have relatively good penetration values to them. All incendiary, well, the armor piercing has armor piercing, but you also get the incendiary rounds to them. Standard, you actually get incendiary as well, so that's good news. So your standard rounds are not going to be terrible. The armor piercing standard shells, pretty much the same, I think. So yeah, the only difference is the armor target round is actually just the pure tracer shell. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. With the standard belt, you get a tracer and you get a high explosive shell. But yeah, we've got a plane with a 102mm cannon on board. Let's just quickly look at the X-ray, just so you can see how silly this is. That's your gunner / loader. There's your ammo. Now I do wonder if you can get ammo racked with this plane. Will be interesting to see, because yeah, technically you could get ammo racked with it. But look at the size of this cannon. It is silly. It is daft. It is dumb. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and good God, I can't wait to fly it. So, Splooge over. G55 Zero Series. It's only got a single cannon on board, but you do get 450 cals on board. The MC205, really nice fighter, 3 cannons on board, very good speed. Stock 407 miles per hour, very fast, actually faster than the G55. So this thing is going to be an absolute beast on speed, which it was designed for. And it's just a beautiful looking plane as well. Very maneuverable as well. This thing is going to be very fun to fly. Modification wise, just the guns, things like that. Ammo wise, with the 20 mils, very similar to your sort of German rounds, but you have got the tracers, which do have fragmentation, incendiary tracer rounds. So they may be very interesting to see in action with the fragmentation effect to it, because that will really mess things up. Basically, similar to like a flak round. The MC205 standard series 3, so again, good speed to it. Got the series 1 and series 3, very similar between them all, just different cannons. You've got the 50 cals on the series 1. Series 3 has 20 mils and 250 cals, and as I said, the N2 has the 320 mils on board, so that thing's going to be an absolute weapon. No attackers in rank 3, unfortunately, but we do get the beautiful plane, the Kingfisher. One of my favourite planes. Just look at it, absolutely gorgeous. Very fast, very manoeuvrable. This plane is really, really nice to fly. You've got the slight dumpy belly to it, which most Italian planes sort of had in the bomber range. It looks a bit like the SM79 in the free engine compartment, but it's a lot faster, a lot sleeker. As you can see, it's got the twin pilot setup front and back. Hopefully that will mean that if you do get pilot sniped at the front, the second one will take over, but we know how the game works for that. You've got the 50 cals and 7.7 millimeters, so you've got 50 underneath, 2 7.7 millimeters either side, and then you've also got the top gun, which has the 50 cal on top as well. Absolutely beautiful plane though. Really looking forward to it. You also have the twin tail section here, with the flaps on the end, and this really did give it a very, very good maneuverability rating. So we've got 2 of those. We've got the series 3 and the series 5. Modification wise, we got quite a few bombs on board this plane. As you can see, there's quite a few bomb loadouts. You've also got torpedoes that you can carry. There are many different bomb loadouts for you. Probably the most common will be the 3 100 kilogram bombs and the single 800 kilogram bomb. But it's going to take a bit of time to work out what your best loadout's going to be for this one. Standard, you get 12 50 kilogram bombs, which are going to be absolutely hopeless. But you also get the 100 kilogram bombs, 12 of those, so nobody's going to be flying with the 50 kilogram bombs on board. It's a series 5, again has similar layout, similar bomb settings. Not much difference between the two really, other than speed. Yeah, they're both pretty much the same plane. Different colorings, things like that. So yeah, it's sort of, you know, it's one of those things. They do add these planes in that you have to unlock, and it's kind of like, well, what's the point in unlocking this? They're pretty much the same plane. The main difference is the tail setup for the Series 3, which is your standard tail. Let's just quickly show you. So you have the more conventional tail setup. This plane was not quite as maneuverable as its later variant. It wasn't quite as stable. So that's going to be the main benefaction, bene, bene, ben, main the main reason for getting this later variant. Yeah, so it doesn't look much on paper, but yeah, that tail did help quite a lot. SM79s, we all know about those, so I'm not going to talk about them, but yeah, you get basically all of the same ones you would get in the German tech tree, including the Romanian variant, which is possibly one of the worst planes in the game. Fighters at rank 2, you get the 202. So nice little planes. Yeah, so we know about these. We've got them in game at the moment. There is the EC, which is the later variant, which has the 20mm cannons on board. So that's going to make a bit of difference there. Decent plane though, really handles well. So that's going to be a fun fighter to play with. Nice fighter. Hehehe. Oh yes. Yes. It is here. The worst plane of the war. One of the biggest fuck ups of all time. The Lynx, the Breda 88. Beautiful plane though. This plane is gorgeous. Seems the different camouflages have not yet been added in yet, but there are going to be some variants to it at least. But this plane, without any equipment on board and with only one person on board, with only the pilot on board, was one of the fastest planes ever made. It was fantastic. It handled really well. It was a brilliant vehicle. And then unfortunately they added military equipment on board, which made it frigging hopeless. Yeah, this was a big failure. This plane ended up serving the rest of its life on airfields as a decoy, being bombed by British planes. Yeah, it was a pretty abysmal plane. But as I said, I love it to death, so I'm so happy to see it. Modifications on this, you've got the Tri 50 cals, and you've got the single 7.7 at the back. Fortunately, there's no ground target for it, so that's going to be interesting to see. The Universal's probably your best you got. So it's going to be decent head on. It's going to be pretty hard on head on, but you do lack armor, so you're probably going to have your pilot die pretty quickly, because there is bugger all armor in it. Bomb load is pretty meager, with only 350 or 100 kilogram bombs on board, so it's not going to be great in that respect. But good God, is it a pretty plane? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It has a pretty unconventional setup with the guns, as you can see. The guns are set off center slightly. You have two dead center of the pilot and then one slightly to his left. Pretty limited ammo on them. About all I can say, really. I will be flying it properly and doing a history on it, though, at some stage, because, as I said, I absolutely freaking love that plane. MC200. Yeah, we know about those already. It's good to see them in. CR32 is your reserve. You also get an attacker as a reserve, the Breda BA65. So that's going to be interesting. And also the Breda BA20 bomber as well. So we'll talk about those in one moment. The Falco CR42. So we've got that, and that will take you onto the G50 series. Same as German lines. The CR32 is, of course, a reserve plane for you. And, of course, the premium variant as well. So the premium is the slightly better one, I think. It's just that slightly more modern variant. Twin 50 cals on board though. That's very good for a reserve plane. So it's going to be, this thing is going to be a really good plane. It's a really good plane to start off with, but this plane is going to be pretty frigging fantastic. It's going to be a really, really tough plane to kill as a reserve plane. As you can see, you've got those big guns up front, and yeah, it's going to be one of those planes that's going to surprise a lot of people. One of the best biplanes ever made, really. What more can you say about it? The premium variant has the custom skin to it. Again, you can just see it's just a very pretty plane. This thing had so many advances on it. It was both ahead of its time and behind its time at the same time. It's a really weird plane, and I will go into speaking about it properly at some stage. But boy howdy is it's going to be a fun plane to play. I think even your default rounds, you have incendiary rounds on them, so again, that's going to be pretty vicious. So this plane is going to be a really, really cool plane to fly in. BA-65, ground attacker, one of the very good ground attacker actually. This plane was very decent. Was originally designed as a fighter from memory. Have a look at the my previous video on Italian planes with the what to expect, but it's not pretty to look at the front. It's got a very interesting cockpit design, as you can see. It's very flat at the front, but it has got very good vision sort of area to it. Reasonably good attacker. You've got 250 cals on board. You've got also you've got the twin 7.7mm at the front, as well as the single 7.7mm at the back as well. So again, as a reserve plane, this thing is going to be pretty bloody hard to kill. It's not the most manoeuvrable plane in the world, but as I said, as a reserve plane, this thing is pretty damn tough. No armour to speak of. It's got a decent radial engine in it. Fuel tank is behind a pilot. Self-sealing as well, which is handy, but your gunner's going to take it if you get hit in those fuel tanks. It's I can see this plane being pretty reasonable. You've got the 450 kilogram and 2 100 kilogram bomb loadout to it, and well, not much else to say really. Other than it's a pretty cool little attacker. It's going to be an interesting attacker to see. It served very well in the Spanish Civil War. BR-20DR. Breda 20. Very, very good bomber. It has this opening here, so you can actually close in flight. It would, well, I think, let's just test it quickly in a moment as I do my end talk. Bomb loadout, you got the twin 800 kilogram bombs on it, so this thing has some of the heaviest bomb load up to the quad engine bomber, just for the 800 kilograms, so you better take out a base with this in one run, which is good news. Not many first tier bombers actually have that ability. Relatively good payload as well, with 12 100 kilogram bombs on board for taking out ground targets, things like that. The four 250s as well will be relatively good for taking out ground targets. You better take out, if you carry the 100 kilograms, you'll probably be able to take out about 6 to 7 ground targets bombing without too much trouble. Worst thing about this plane is very, very, very poor defense. So you have the pop-up turret at the back here, which will go whoop, similar to the other plane we looked at before with the twin 7.7s at the flare. You've got a lower turret, so from behind this plane's going to be okay defensively. Front, yeah, you've not got much. generally coming in slightly low from the front will be the way to take this plane out. But it's still a very beautiful bomber. One other thing about Italian aviation was the planes were very pretty. So let's quickly take this up in the air as I just do a finish up. So I've not played too much with them. I've not actually taken them out in a battle yet. So unfortunately we do start with the gunner down. That's a shame. I was hoping that would slowly go down as you took off, because that's what it's meant to do. The gunner sort of sits up in there and then it will go down. But we do have the door that opens, so that's cool. Cockpit is actually very cool because you've got the door to your left there. You can see down the whole plane as well, actually a really nice looking cockpit, and you can see the turret gunner there as well. So let's just take it off in the air for you. So again, twin rudder at the back. This plane was pretty decent for its time. It's not the fastest bomber in the world, but it's a very reliable one. What else can you say, really? I say it is a shame that the gunner does not flip down as you take off. That is a shame to see. But you do see the gunner there popping up in his turret, so we have got the pop-up turret at least. So that's good to see. Pretty little bomb bay. Yeah, it's a nice plane. As I said, a lot of the Italian planes are not going to be, especially bombers, they're not going to be spectacular, they're not going to be changing the way everything goes, but they're going to be reliable and sturdy. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see all in all. Okay guys, this video is almost an hour long, so if you've stuck with me this far, I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you made it to the end and let me know what you think. Love to hear your opinions on everything as well. Please let me know. Let me know what you think, and we will be back with you soon. I will come back for some actual gameplay footage, hopefully with some of these planes. Alright guys, thank you so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you next time. This is Screezer out. Bye bye.